Hi Rockstars, I'm Allie, your Rockstar Bar Girl, and this week's video is actually an elaboration on one of the bartender tip of the weeks that I post on my Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram yet, definitely check me out at Rockstar_Bar Girl. I do weekly tips, discount codes, the whole works. And I got a question from a viewer named Rissa. What's up, Rissa? And she asked me about connecting naturally with your guests and using that connection, using your own personality to increase your tips. So I did a tip of the week on this, and my tip was to be yourself. But there were a lot of other good questions in Rissa's email, so I'm gonna make a whole video about all of her questions, and they all have to do with connecting with your guest and increasing your tips. Okay, so let's get into this email. So one of the first questions she asked is, sometimes I feel like I'm not connecting naturally with people unless I'm serving them food and drinks. I'm great at being polite, but some social tips as a bartendress would be awesome. So first of all, bartendress, I love that. I'm gonna start using that. Yes, bartendress. Connecting naturally with people is something that is very difficult, and I know that because I struggled with it for a long time, and really I still do struggle with it because I can be very efficient, and that sometimes makes me a little robotic, and so I end up saying like the exact same thing at the exact same time to every single customer. And when customers hear that, or they get the feeling that you're just rattling off a script, then they kind of feel, they don't feel special, you know, and everybody wants to feel special. So I definitely sometimes do that, and I have to stop myself and spice it up, change it up, and try to be a little bit more real with each person. So how do you do that though? I think step number one, first of all, is to not stress out about it. If you are just talking to your guest about what they're eating, you're really just taking their order, and that's it, that's okay. Not every single person who comes to the bar is looking to have a 30-minute like in-depth conversation with their bartender or server to begin with. Some people are just there to eat. Some people are there with friends or with someone else, and they are not interested in you. It's totally fine to keep the banter and the conversation short and keep it mostly centered around about, you know, the food and stuff like that. I happen to work at a place that sells a great burger. If someone is asking for dinner, I'll present them with the menu, and I'll be like, hey, you should definitely check out our burger. It's really amazing, blah, blah, blah. They may ask me what's amazing about it, or, you know, why they should order it. And I can go into further depth in my conversation by asking them things like, well, are you really hungry right now? Or have you ever been to such and such burger where ours is better? So you can have conversation with someone that goes a little bit deeper than just what you're selling them, while still kind of keeping it about what you're selling them. You don't have to bare your soul to your guests, and you don't have to expect them to do the same with you. It can really just be, hey, how are you? What can I get you? Having a good day today? Great. And just keep it like that. Along those same lines, it's probably a good idea to get good at identifying the people who do want to connect with you. A lot of times when people are at the bar, like I said, they're with a friend or with a group of friends, and they're not really interested in having more than a couple of little back and forth exchanges with you. Other times though, there are people who come to the bar, and it will be really, really obvious that like right now they need a friend, and they will watch what you're doing. They will sort of make little comments or kind of eavesdrop on what's going on and laugh at something that maybe didn't have anything to do with them. But I mean, we've all been there, you know, when you like want to talk to somebody but you don't know how to say that you want to talk to them. They're gonna do all those things, and it's gonna be pretty obvious that they would like to talk to you. Other times you will have people alone at the bar who don't make it obvious that they want to talk, but for the most part, somebody at the bar alone wouldn't mind it, because usually they are killing time, or you know, they are waiting for someone to join them or something like that. When someone really wants to be alone, they a lot of times won't sit at the bar. They'll find a table, because a table is really kind of secluded. The only person who's supposed to come over to you is the server, whereas at the bar, other bar patrons might try to talk to you or stuff like that. People who really don't want to be talked to tend to take a table, or they'll sit at the very, very end of the bar and like put on their headphones or open up a book, and then it'll be really clear like this person did not come here to talk. But anybody who is by themselves, I would say, is fair game. If you find yourself not really doing very much at the bar, you're kind of just standing around, and you have a customer who is also just by themselves, kind of just maybe drinking and looking at the TVs or whatever, that is a great opportunity to strike up a conversation with that person. And the idea behind doing this is that you want to turn every person who comes to the bar into your friend, or at least you want them to think that you're their friend. And the reason for that is because you would never stiff your friend, right? When it comes time to pay your bill and sign off your tab, you're not tipping the bartender, you're tipping Allie, your friend. So it's in your best interest financially to make people feel like they've gotten to know you a little bit, and like you guys are at least cool, so that when they come back, you're gonna recognize them and be like, hey, what's up? Oh my God, good to see you again. That's what everybody wants. And so the point of having that conversation and breaking the ice of silence with the guest is to create that experience for them. One of the easiest ways to strike up a conversation with someone who looks like they want to talk to you, or you know, looks like they're alone and wouldn't mind, is to simply ask them about their day. It's the most generic question ever, but it could literally lead you down like 1,000 different paths, because you never know how someone is going to answer that question. And once you ask them about their day, then you want to ask follow-up questions. Don't just let the statement linger. You know, if they go, oh man, you know, my day, it was actually really rough. Don't just be like, oh, okay, sorry to hear that. You know, ask a follow-up question. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. What made it terrible? Are you just coming from work? You know, keep asking those follow-up questions. It will get the conversation going, and then before you know it, something is going to come up that you truly have something to say about, and it will naturally flow from there. So start off with how's your day, make sure to hit some follow-up questions so that the conversation doesn't die, and then once the ball is rolling, it's going to come easy. And one last important tip about just like having conversation with people is, for crying out loud, if they order food and their food comes, leave them the hell alone. I have had bartenders who like don't understand that, like, okay, like it's cool, we're chatting, but like now my sandwich is here and I have like mustard on my face and I'm starving, I need a couple minutes to like eat some of this. I'm like, so when your food comes, make sure they have everything that they need, silverware, salt, pepper, mustard, all that good stuff, and then leave them alone. If they want to keep talking in the middle of cheeseburger bites, they will keep talking to you, but otherwise kind of give them some space, check up on your other guests, check up on your tabs, refill something, you know, busy yourself, give them the time to like eat. Okay, so the next question Rissa asked, wait, where is it? Okay, is it best to be flirty, dress sexy, or no football stats? Specifically, I think she's asking like, is one of the other of those things more beneficial? And I would say no. It really depends on the type of bar that you're in. If you're working in a sports bar, then obviously having some knowledge of what's going on the TVs behind you is going to be beneficial to building a connection with your guests, because that's what they're there for. So obviously that's a topic that they like to talk about and that they like. And so if you can communicate with them about that, then that increases the chances that you can make that, you know, we're buddies connection with them, as opposed to just, this is the person who serves me my beer. But if you are working in a sexy nightclub or lounge or a gentleman's club with no TVs, the game is never on, then yeah, the fact that you know football might just be like a cute anecdotal thing, but might not be as beneficial to your sales and to your tips as being flirty or being sexy. So none of those things are like any more important than the other. As I said in my tip of the week, I think the most important thing, again, is to be yourself. So kind of regardless of which of those things is more beneficial in your bar, if it's not you, it's just not you, and you don't have to be that person. I know bartenders that have worked at bars for literally 15, 20 years, and they are terrible. They're mean, they're rude, they're bossy, they're really like not super friendly. And people still flock to those bars for them because they feel like, oh, well, I know that guy. You don't know him. He's mean to you, but not to me. Like, but that person is being themselves. And I am not condoning being mean or nasty as a bartender, but I'm just saying that if that truly is you and you're good at your bartending, then the weird or the thing that you think is weird about your personality or whatever will actually be something that people really like, they come to expect. It's not going to like hurt you necessarily to not be that person. I do think that you have to be smart. If being sexy and being flirty is something that makes you horribly uncomfortable and you really don't even like the idea of it, then I would say don't apply for a job at a gentleman's club or night lounge where you're required to wear like little cocktail dresses or something like that. You know, make choices based on environments that you think that you would feel comfortable in. But if you're in an environment where you feel comfortable, then, you know, obviously you've got what it takes because you're there, you've got the job. Now you just have to be good at the bartending aspect of it, be good at your skills. No matter how wonderful you are, if it takes you 25 minutes to serve me my drink, I'm not ever coming back. So be good at your technical skills, and then when it comes to your personality, just be yourself. Hi, Kitty. Hi. Are you in the video? Yes? No? Not really. Okay, so question number 3 from Rissa is about how to be polite with people when you're telling them something negative. Okay, move yourself. Especially if you're either cutting them off from drinking or you're trying to like cut out some flirting that may have already started. So this is a really, really good question. Because not all the interactions that you are going to have with your guests are going to be fun, fuzzy, kind ones. Sometimes someone is way too wasted. Sometimes people are getting too aggressive or too violent. Sometimes someone's being super sexually inappropriate and gross and creepy. And sometimes you've got to call security or a manager or what have you. So these things do happen, and you should be prepared. So I think rule number 1 when it comes to someone who's had too much to drink or is being inappropriate with the flirting is to not embarrass them. People who have been drinking do not respond to being embarrassed well at all. So for that drunk guest, you never want to be like, hey buddy, you've had too much, we're gonna cut you off, like in front of everyone. Don't do that. You want to be discreet, you want to be respectful, you want to be quiet, and you want to be like cautious about the way that you let someone know that you know, are doing this. So when it comes to cutting them off from alcohol, the most important thing to do is to not serve them. That's the most important thing to do. If you really feel like somebody has had too much and should not be served any more alcohol, either because they're going to be unruly or be a danger to themselves or others or get sick at your bar, then you absolutely not only have the right to cut them off, but you have the responsibility of cutting them off, okay? And that means you do not back down, you do not get pressured into serving them a drink. You're gonna find that the majority of people who have had too much understand what's happening when they're being cut off. It's not like they don't get it. The way you handle it is determines whether or not they're gonna be cool about it. So, someone who's had too many drinks comes to me and says, hey, let me get another rum and coke. I'm gonna be like, sure honey, no problem. Why don't we start off with a Coke right now and we'll hit that rum and coke in a couple of minutes. I did it right to them. I did it really quietly, discreetly. I said yes at first. Yeah, honey, I'm still serving you. I'm still taking care of you. I'm not kicking you out there, no problems. But I'm not making that drink for you. right now. Let's come back to that idea. Most people respond pretty well to that. They go, okay, because they understand what's going on. Once you've told them that you're not going to give them a drink, your job now is to ignore them because you're not going to give them a drink. So you will go and serve other people, you will do other things, and they will either go off in a huff because they realize what's happening and that you're not going to pay attention, or they will get upset. And the conversation continues and it begins to escalate. You want to cut it off. You say, okay, you know what? Give me 1 second. And that's when you go and you get your manager or you get security and you say, I've cut this person off. They are starting to get upset about it. That person, the manager or the security, will come over to the bar and they'll either just hang around to make sure everything is okay, or they will step in and start having a conversation with the guests themselves. If they do that, if the manager starts talking to them, security starts talking to them, don't get involved, don't chime in. You don't need to be behind the manager going, yeah, that's right. You go back to serving your other guests, doing what you need to do. Let management and security handle it at that point. On a side note with the cutting off, I think it's really important to be honest. I have had managers before tell me, oh, that person's had too much, no problem. Well, you know what? Just start shorting their drinks. Just pour them a little bit less, or just give them all soda. I don't like to do that. I think you're only going to make an irate drunk even angrier if they realize that they are paying full price for drinks that don't have alcohol in them. So I don't see the point in lying to them. We are all adults. Even if you're being a ridiculous drunk adult, you're still an adult. And I am going to tell you honestly, look, honey, I think we're going to wait a minute on another cocktail, okay? I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to sit there and give them a BS drink. Just tell them that you're not serving them. You're in control. When it comes to the flirting thing, it's really the same set of rules. First of all, don't embarrass anybody. Not to be sexist about it, but guys don't always respond very well when a girl rejects them. They tend to get a little aggressive sometimes or downright nasty. And if you do this in front of their guy friends, it will be even worse, unfortunately. So you want to get out of that situation without embarrassing anybody. If some guy tries to give you his phone number, take the number. Right? You don't have to use it. Like, they try to give you their number in front of their guys. They think they're cool. Here's my number, honey. Thanks, sweetheart. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, sure. I'll call you. You don't have to be like, ew, no, I don't want your number. Who the hell are you? Get out. Like, why? You know, don't embarrass somebody. That's not the point, and that's definitely not going to get you any closer to a connection with that person or to a tip from that person. And remember, that's the whole reason that you're there. You're not there to make a friend or find a boyfriend anyway. You're there to get tips. So you're not going to get any closer to making that money if you embarrass someone. Now they hate you. So, you know, just be polite about it. That being said, disrespect is an absolute no-no. So there's nothing wrong with standing up for yourself or letting someone know that they are being inappropriate, whether their friends are there or not. But I'm just saying that it's a good idea to, unless they are being disrespectful or inappropriate, to kind of go with the flow, be polite, and avoid embarrassing or rejecting someone who at the end of the day is just a customer. And just like with cutting someone off from drinking, if someone becomes too aggressive, if they don't seem to get the point, and absolutely if they become physical in any way, then you immediately want to go get your manager, security, and Okay, so we've talked about how to build connections with people and be natural in doing so, and we talked about how to not piss people off when you have to be, when you're not able to be, you know, Mr. or Miss Nice Guy. So I guess the last thing we'll do is we'll address her question about turning these connections into increasing your tips. How do we turn all of this information about how to connect naturally with our guests into actual money? How do we make sure that after loving you and thinking you're really nice and cool, that they actually cough up the cha-chang? I have a couple of rules to follow on how to do that. And rule number 1 is to follow your steps of service. You can't let, and I'll probably do a video on exactly what the steps of service are. But generally, it's all the things that you do from greeting until your customer leaves. So that's saying hello, giving them a menu, telling them about specials, taking their orders, making their drinks, closing their tabs, etc. So it's all of that stuff. So don't allow your conversations or your interaction with your guests distract you from your ultimate goal. Don't let your other guests be ignored because you are building up a relationship with one guest. Make sure that you are still on top of all of your service steps with everyone else, but also make sure that you're on top of your service steps with that person. That guest that you are talking to is going to realize that your cool personality is not just something that they are getting for free, but that it's a part of the whole service package if you stay on top of serving them properly. So I will stop talking and interrupt my own conversation to say something like, I see you just finished your drink, can I get you another? Let's not ignore the fact that this guest needs another drink because I'm busy having a conversation with them. Let me make sure that I'm doing both. So they always remember that, yeah, while we're getting to know each other, I'm still working for them. Therefore, I'm still expecting payment. The second rule is to sell, sell, sell. Always be selling. Every single person who ever tells me that they don't want a dinner menu still gets offered food by me. Every single person. So if you sit down and I ask you if you want a dinner menu and you say no, I'm fine, I'm just here for drinks, I'm going to say, okay, no problem. I'm going to take your drink order, I'm going to serve you your drinks, I'm going to start you your tab, and after you've had maybe half of that drink, I'm going to come over and say, hey guys, do you want maybe some french fries or some chicken fingers to munch on while you guys chat? Because once people start drinking, all of a sudden having something to eat seems like a much better idea. And even when they're not hungry, they might want it. But they're not focused on the fact that I just added an item to their bill. They're focused on the fact that I cared enough to offer them something that they didn't even realize they needed. And that leads me into rule number 3, which is to anticipate your guests' needs. Every person who sits down at the bar basically needs the same things, right? If someone orders food, they're going to need silverware. It's probably really annoying to the guest to get their food and have to flag you down and ask for silverware. If you anticipate what they're going to need and get it to them before they ask, they're going to feel super, super taken care of. And your winning personality has made them feel like you guys are also buddies. So when it comes time to pay the tab, if they got super taken care of and they're buddies with the bartender, I mean, getting a good tip is like guaranteed. So I want to thank Rissa so much for sending in this email. These were really great questions. It really got me thinking. If you guys would like more videos like this, meaning on like actually how to connect with your customers or service tips, things that happen in the bar, as opposed to just drink recipes, then definitely let me know. I'm happy to do that. If you found this video useful, please click on the thumbs up below and like, and of course subscribe. As I mentioned earlier, I am doing a bartender tip of the week every week on my Instagram page, so make sure to follow me at rockstar_bargirl so that you can see those every week. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, Rockstars.